Hello, and welcome to the PMQ webinar series. I'm your host, Brian Hernandez, and today we're going to be rocking out with delivery and to go. And as we all know, this year restaurant owners have had to quickly adapt to new ways of operating in these uncertain times. And with the innovation of technology driving consumer trends, it's the ability to adapt and thrive that's going to decide whether or not we sink or swim. So what are successful restaurateurs doing to navigate these changes? Well, today we're going to find out together. Now, we have a couple great speakers today in Alex Kuntz of Purgatory Pizza and Ron Smallwood of HungerRush. Alex Kuntz is the co-owner of Purgatory Pizza in LA, and he's going to be talking about his journey from delivery driver to owner and how he's found success meeting his music-enthused customers wherever they order from, all while remaining true to the rock and roll culture and values at Purgatory Pizza. He may also have a surprise for us. I don't know. If you want to know, you're going to have to stick around and find out at the very end. Now, Ron Smallwood has also been a part of the HungerRush team for 5 years. He wears many hats there, and he's currently serving as the customer success manager. Ron is going to be acting as our HungerRush roadie to Purgatory's rock show. So without further ado, I'd like to hand the mic over to our panelists. So Ron, why don't you take it away, brother?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. Alex, appreciate you being part of this today. Let's start by going over the agenda. We're going to talk more about Purgatory Pizza, finding the right technology, customer ordering habits, the community and social media, HungerRush support, what's next for Purgatory Pizza, and we'll wrap up with Q&A. What we're interested in is what percentage of your business is currently delivery, curbside, and to go? And partly why we're asking this question is even before COVID, we had seen that the industry was already leaning toward the digital online ordering side of the business. And we had some customers already going as high as 50% plus. Post-COVID, we had, unfortunately, some customers that had no online ordering. And we had to scramble around, set up websites for those customers so they could get back in business. While we are open in Houston again for full service, we don't see those customers, they're not going away from online ordering. So they're sticking with it, and it's working for them. So it looks like we're running at 75%, which is not surprising. We were already seeing the industry leaning that way. And of course, you know, in this COVID environment, we expect that it's still going to maintain a 75% plus range there. And with that said, we really appreciate you taking the time to submit that for us. And we'd like to go ahead and hand it over to Alex. And Alex, can you talk to us about your how you got started with Purgatory?
Yeah, so thank you. I got started, I was a cliche struggling musician out of a job, living on my best friend's girlfriend's couch. It was about 2008. So the economy was pretty broken then too. I was a week away of basically like having to move back to my parents' house. I had been on like 20 plus job interviews, anything from Hot Topic to like plant stores, until I finally scored this pizza delivery job, which had allowed me the freedom to tour, play shows. It was super flexible. And at the same time, I got to progress there and learn things. And I became a manager, still while all pursuing music. As the shop started changing, I had been there for like 6 years, and I was turning 30 and I was freaking out a little bit. And after not seeing eye to eye, I think it was time for a change. So my music career was slowing down a little bit. I wasn't as happy as where I was. And I started all over at this new pizza shop that a couple of my friends were working at called Purgatory Pizza. And the shop was like a literal pirate ship. Although it had an amazing atmosphere, there wasn't a whole lot of care on customer service or quality of pizza. It was like the Lost Boys. There was like 8 employees when I started there. I'd work like a 14-hour shift, maybe deliver 4 pizzas, definitely a lot slower than what I was coming from. But the moment I walked through the door, I saw that there was a bunch of potential, and the owner at the time just let the shop kind of run itself. 3 months into it, the manager there, he went on tour, and he was going on tour for 4 months, and he basically said, well, Alex has some experience, so he can take over the ship. So after that, I had total control. And what I found is the harder that I worked there, I could see the difference that I was making, and I was finding that I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I was realizing that I was pretty good at it. So we rebuilt the restaurant, we rebranded, we changed the menu, we changed processes, overall attitude, just how day-to-day ran, and we rebuilt the culture, but we kept, you know, the fundamentals of it being a place for a nomad to come back and to support their dream or whatever they were doing. You know, I quickly learned the difference between cheese melts and what flours to use. started using words like fermentation and hydration. And about a year into that adventure, I had the opportunity to invest as a 50% partner after the owner had seen the restaurant evolve. We started with 8 employees. I have 32 now. Sales hit records year after year. It's definitely been a never-ending process with some smiles and a lot of tears. But the creative side that I loved doing when I was making music, it is a lot. It's been replaced by cooking. Making a song is a lot like writing a recipe. You put the right notes together and hopefully make a masterpiece, or at least something that's edible. And that's the short version of my autobiography novel. And I'm just trying to be a better leader and a better person every day.
Well, that's an awesome journey. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about? Like you'd mentioned something about the menu. Are there any special things on the Purgatory menu?
Yeah, when I got here, there was 3 vegan pizzas that were like staples on the menu, which is, I hadn't seen that. I knew there was one other restaurant in Los Angeles that did vegan pizza, but it was definitely a very new thing. And we definitely expanded on that. Everything at Purgatory is split down the middle, half vegan, half regular, which, hence the name Purgatory. It's kind of an in-between, but it's a definitely very, very important part of our business model is having something for everybody here.
Awesome. Thank you again for sharing. So let's move in now to the technology area. I understand that y'all have gone through a progression, maybe from not even having a POS to having Clover to ultimately finding HungerRush. Can you share that journey with us?
Yeah, so not having a POS system was a headache. Writing tickets, losing tickets. So when we got Clover, it was definitely it was awesome for what it was. But where it lacked, the busier that we got was deferred orders, because we had to print them out the day or a week before, put them on a bulletin board, and hopefully they got made. The delivery dispatching, we had to do all this backwards stuff to make that work. Just the functionality for a pizza restaurant, it probably would have been a great fit for a coffee shop, but definitely when we upgraded to HungerRush, sales were better because we were able to serve customers better, and obviously deferred orders and the dispatch window and half and half with all the modifiers we have. It was just night and day.
Awesome. Well, along that, talking about the POS and helping facilitate you running your business, let's talk about customer ordering habits. Can you share with us some about the customer ordering habits pre-COVID? What were y'all's percentages? Kind of, how did things go with the customers?
So yeah, it was 40%, about 38% was dine-in, which was a huge blow. But also Postmates and third party was on the rise already prior to COVID. So we were seeing more people getting delivery and dining out. And so we were already making changes prior to COVID, but those were the habits.
Gotcha. And just to expand on the ordering habits, do y'all have any dine-in today, or y'all still
No,
shut down?
no dine-in, all to go delivery. That's it.
Gotcha. And then talking about the pre-COVID, what are some of the things that you can talk about that y'all have done to help keep the customers, feeling safe, and your employees?
So I'll talk about pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, there's always been a strong emphasis on drivers, because I think old school pizzeria shops were built on pizza delivery. It's what made pizzerias stand out originally, before you could get a Slurpee and a bag of Skittles delivered to your door from Postmates. Delivery guy in Ninja Turtles, delivery guy in Home Alone. These are the faces of your neighborhood, on your doorstep. So I think pizzerias owned the delivery market for decades. So I think it was ingrained in most pizza shops to have that thing, which helped post-COVID. But like, we have good driving training. It's incredibly important. 2 driver managers, a 3-day program that gives our drivers the key to success. HungerRush definitely helps with that, with mileage tracking and, their delivery numbers, easy dispatching and mapping. And prior to COVID, we were already seeing an uptick in Postmates delivery. I had recently negotiated for a smaller commission rate with Postmates. And once a month, I was ordering Postmates from Purgatory to my house to check on the experience. And there was a couple menu items that weren't translating. In October to January, we were trying different packaging and containers in hopes that we could fix those problems, and we did. Also, just when you bag something up, it's almost like plating food, because 20% of our customers have never been inside the restaurant. So like packaging and branding and all those things are important, because you don't want some greasy bag showing up all ruffled on your doorstep, and that's your first impression of this restaurant if you've never ordered there before. So these were all things we were doing prior to COVID, and I consider myself very lucky because of what happened. But that was pre-COVID.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes. And then I guess, and then post-COVID, since y'all already had a strong delivery sense, but y'all then had to manage the safety of not only the customers, but your staff as well.
Yeah, so post-COVID, I think delivery was already on the rise, like I was saying, and we did a couple things. We expanded our delivery range to 5 miles, and then we've just done everything possible, especially at the beginning, to make everyone feel safe. You know, there's a couple people we lost because they didn't want to deliver pizzas anymore, but making sure that they had the right PPE, hand sanitizer, all this stuff was so hard to find, but it was really just important. The customer felt safe, but obviously all of our staff. So we went cashless. We just signed up for Drive that allows us to quote better, which is super important, because you don't want a crowd of people waiting outside of your restaurant for obvious reasons. And then tracking that driver so we can quote better, and so we know they're not hanging out at their girlfriend's house or whatever. And I'm just joking. And we have been running HungerRush coupons, codes exclusively for our site to promote online ordering, because it's an uphill battle trying to get a Postmates customer to become a HungerRush customer, but those have helped a bit. We try to educate our customers as much as possible, but like I said, it's a tough battle. So our Postmates doubled this year, and it brings in huge numbers. And I think like the main thing through this whole year and every year being a business owner is patience. And COVID was a huge blow. Any business owner can tell you that there's hurdles every day. Definitely not as big as COVID, but not a month goes by there isn't a mini crisis. So you always got to be able to adapt to any situation. So the minute you take your shoes off, the race starts again. So whether a delivery or a new POS system or a third-party integration or riots or a global pandemic, staffing issues, the whole kitchen sink got thrown at us this year. Trying to stay one step ahead has been an issue.
And we've seen the same thing here. And thank you so much for sharing that experience. And, that's one of the reasons we've continued throughout this to add all the additional tools and things. And like DoorDash Dashers, I know, I don't think y'all use that, but that's something that we've added for customers so they can enhance the delivery piece. So, you got the third party online ordering like Postmates. And of course, we integrate with some of the other ones for the larger, Grub Hubs and all those. But then we also added the DoorDash Dashers just to give people an option. And like you're saying, you gotta think outside the box, think differently than you have in the past. So thank you so much for sharing that. And along those lines, what we're talking about, one of the things we've been looking at is training and how we support our customers. And one of the things we've always been very interested in, and we've built it into the system, and you've touched on it some, as well as in the code and the order takers, being able to set it like the red light, green light thing within HungerRush to allow people that learning curve to be able to just, be at the counter or taking an order on the phone is much clearer and easier to move along. And along those lines, we've also maintained the fact that any of our customers, current or new, or existing customers, can call into support and schedule hour-long blocks for cash management, menu management, all those different modules. So we maintain that. And along those lines as well, we listen to our customers and we built videos. Now, I know y'all been with us a long time and y'all are very familiar with the system, but we're just trying to add more and more things to the toolbox, if you will. So our customers have different options when it comes to training and having new staff. So and along those lines, you'd mentioned Drive. That was one of the things, as our customers have gotten that, they can see, is this particular driver following the right route? Are they coming back? Are they going somewhere else on the way back? Which ones are more efficient? And some people use that to incentivize the drivers. If the ones that are better at it, more efficient, they get some kind of incentives. So it has been a productive module for folks. So thank you so much for talking about that. Can you expand a little bit on the menu part of it? You did touch on it a bit, but I know some of our customers, especially the ones that had to create their online order and they never had it, they had to really look at the menu and decide what is the right online menu. Can you touch on that a little bit on things y'all might have had to do for the online?
Yeah, so like I said, pre-COVID and delivery was already well built into this model. All of our food fits in a pizza box. We had all these containers, so we were ready to go. But obviously there was some slow periods and dropping some really heavy prepped items. And then we did create, at the beginning, we ran a menu for about 4 months that was like a stimulus purgatory package, which was like basically pizzas that were like almost half off or items that were very, very discounted, just to kind of give comfort to our neighborhood and kind of be there and give people that option. But for the most part, our menu stayed the same because, like I said, delivery's always been a big part of this place, but we definitely trimmed some fat.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for sharing that as well. Now I'd like to move into an area y'all are very good at. And I'd like you to talk about the social media and what y'all do around that aspect.
Yeah, well, social media, that's basically where we put any kind of deal that we're doing, promotions. That's really all of the advertising that we do. We do it all organically. I was running it for years, and I actually just passed it off to one of my employees, which is a learning experience too, and something I've been able to do this year is give more opportunity and more things to my staff, which is always a learning experience for me and a learning experience for them. But we try to gauge organically, interact with other accounts and just be authentic and, post stuff that we like and food that we think looks good and deals that we want to use ourselves. So, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And I can tell by y'all's following, y'all do a good job at it. Can you talk some about your merchandise? I see y'all do a lot with merchandise.
Yeah, so we do usually like a shirt or a sweatshirt drop every about 3 months, and that's just fun for the staff. Their t-shirts get, you get pretty screwed up at the dish pit, so it's nice for them to get a new shirt. It's fun for me to try out new things, and then I think it's good for the customers to it's cool and they like what we're selling and they buy that, and it's free advertisement, and at the same time you just want to make some fresh gear for the customers and for our employees. So it's just like another fun creative thing.
That's awesome. Well, what's next for you in Purgatory Pizza?
For Purgatory, obviously just getting through this year and into the next one, keeping everybody safe. But as for me and my wife, we are opening up a brand new pizzeria together called Hot Tongue Pizza, and it's going to be 100% plant-based. So all vegan, naturally leavened, really hyper-focused on the bread aspect, because that's the thing that's in every single bite of pizza. And, we just want to make a really, really good pizza that happens to be vegan and maybe change some minds, change the world. But, we're still going to kick ass at Purgatory, but we're really excited, and I'm excited to work with her, and I'm really excited about this new concept.
Well, it sounds awesome. I'm sure it'll be fantastic. Well, that's all I had for you. I think I'd like to open up now to questions from the attendees.
All right. Well, here we go. We got a bunch of them right now. First off, Alex, props on the Ninja Turtles delivery guy reference. First VHS I bought myself was Ninja Turtles 2. Ernie Reyes Jr. was the delivery guy. Love that movie.
Yes.
So crappy, but I still love it. Come on, go Ninja, go. Also, The Lost Boys, I wanted to ask you, was that reference to like Peter Pan, or was that in reference to Kiefer Sutherland vampires?
It's more Kiefer Sutherland vampires, definitely. Definitely more that vibe.
Okay.
Your worms, Michael. I love that movie.
Good. Well, all right, some good stuff. So now I'll nerd out a little bit again later, but let's ask some serious questions from some serious attendees here. Is it important, or how important is it to treat vegan like gluten-free as far as cross-contamination? I know you were talking about this. This kind of popped up you're doing your whole new concept as vegan. I just wanted to ask from somebody like you, because you're personally a vegan, correct?
Yes. Yeah. I've been vegan for a few years.
So, I mean, it's like when your customer comes in, do you want to make sure that there's a concerted effort to make sure that you're not cutting it with a blade that's already cut a pepperoni pizza or cooking it in the same spot in the oven? Is that it's super important to have that separation?
Yeah, most definitely. And everyone's a little different, and we've learned along the way like how sensitive we need to be, because we used to use a veggie tong and a meat tong, and we'd use the veggie tong for vegan slices too, but obviously that's touching dairy cheese. So now we have 3 tongs, and to the extent that we have two different fryers. There's a vegan fryer and a regular fryer, and that's a lot of cost. That's a lot of money. It's cleaning another fryer. It takes up space. But I generally, I wouldn't be mad if I went to a restaurant, but if I went out with my wife and she found out that her eggplant was being fried in the same fryer, she'd have a problem with it. So we do our best. We have things very well separated, so there's no cross contamination.
Well, I mean, it definitely sounds like you need to take the care for your customers, because without your customers, you don't have a business. So,
well, yeah,
definitely.
that 100%.
Okay, Ron, I got a question for you. What are you most excited about on the HungerRush Tech roadmap? So, I guess what's coming down the pipelines that's got you staying up at night all giddy?
Well, I mean, one of the biggest items, and it's going to be awesome. It'll be released first quarter next year, is our HungerRush version 2. That's going to be a web-based solution, cloud-based solution, I should say, and it's going to give us a lot more options. We're going to build all of the new features toward that solution, and then tied in with that is we're going to give customers more flexibility on how they set up their websites, and that's all going to be kind of tied together. So that release is going to happen about the same time. And on the website, they'll have the options to actually build pieces of themselves using templates. And so with the HungerRush version 2.0, it's going to give us more flexibility. It's going to give us more options on how we do backup and redundancies for systems. And with the website, it's going to give our customers more flexibility to do what they want and change things as they move along without having to call in and get like one of our developer staff to rewrite their website. It's going to be very exciting.
A little more autonomy on their part, so they don't have to call you. Now, with this kind of a lot of this innovation pushed by customer calls and ideas, or saying, I can't do this, what can you do? Was it all kind of driven by the customer need from the customers' mouths themselves?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We're real big on that. We get a feedback, and we take feedback, and we have surveys, and we take all this stuff very seriously, and we use that to help build our roadmap and our development for the future. And I mean, the industry also, of course, we're watching that is what is the industry leaning to, like a cloud-based solution, which that we're going to have a hybrid cloud-based solution, because we think it's very important that we don't want customers to lose their ability to take orders if their internet's down. But we also want the ability to be able to manage data sets in the cloud. So that gives them more functionality to be able to configure, manage, do menu management if you have multiple rooftops, all from the cloud. And that's going to give us that step up to be able to achieve those goals that we can't today.
This one's going to be for Alex. How many drivers does Purgatory Pizza have, and how are they adapting to using the HR drive? Was there any learning curve? And if there was it easy enough to teach them?
Yeah, we have about 10, and there wasn't much of a learning curve. Everybody likes to complain about new stuff. Like, oh man, we have to do this. And you kind of just go through like the pain sore for like a week until they're like, oh man, that's actually pretty dope. So, people were a little worried that we're going to like turn on the tracking and follow them. But that was really the only concern. Everyone's pretty tech savvy, and they did come around. The first week they were like, this sucks. And then, being able to have their tickets on their phone, I think they really liked. And there's just there's a lot of positives, but yeah, it's been easy.
Well, I started as a driver too, and I could say, I mean, if you're worried about them tracking you where you're going, you're probably not going to the right places. I would use that as something myself to say, I can get here. I'm always trying to beat myself every single time. I can get there quicker, safely. So, I mean, it sounds like it's giving you a lot of metrics and stuff that the drivers themselves can use and track in real time, as well as the managers.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we always try to make it a game, who can do the most deliveries, how fast, and, everyone's the best. So,
until it's on paper and you know who's actually the best.
Exactly.
100%. You got to make those games in pizzerias. I know that's how we passed a lot of long hours. So I did want to mention that, I'm going to touch back a couple times on vegan with you, but World Vegan Day is November 1st. So everybody go out, support your local establishment that has a vegan pizza. Even if you don't like it, try one. And also for the whole month of November, our issue for PMQ is focusing on vegans. So I do my PMQ live updates. I'm going to try to talk with as many vegan pizzeria operators as possible. And I think my first one is actually going to be Alex. So we're good more into delve more detail on that. So I don't want to take up our time here with that, but I just wanted to put that out there. And then I got some stuff about the band, again, nerding out. Alex, becoming a new owner, what was the first thing that you realized that you needed to change as far as ordering access for your customers? Or did those adaptations start with COVID? I know you briefly touched on this when you got into the pizzeria and you started learning, you're talking fermentation and cheese melt points and stuff like that. Did you immediately out of the gate change the ordering process, or did a lot of those pivots come COVID? Because I know you were saying pre-COVID, you were already on your way there.
Yeah, well, I'd never worked at a pizzeria that used the third parties. They were using Eat24, which is no longer a thing, Grubhub, Eat Street, and we were using a fax machine. So all these orders were coming in on a fax machine. I hadn't seen a fax machine since I was in 12th grade. So I was like, what is this place? I was blown away. My first day, they were I was cleaning fridges and stuff, and they're like, dude, you need to chill, man. We just chill here. That's what we got to do. But they were using that's how they were getting most of their orders. So that was all new to me. So that kind of kickstarted how to profit on those third parties and which ones to really use. The hardest thing wasn't really getting orders in. After it was mostly just changing the culture of the restaurant.
Okay.
Just a lot of chilling.
A lot of what?
A lot of chilling. Just chill.
Well, fax machine. I mean, I hope you guys took that out and pulled an office space on it after the fact, because
we smashed that thing in the alley.
Absolutely. Okay. I think this kind of leads into another question that I got. I think it's for Ron. Is it difficult to integrate? You did talk about integration with third-party ordering systems. Is it difficult to integrate with the third parties, or is it kind of built into the HungerRush platforms already? Something you just kind of flip a switch, or I know you probably don't do it with all of them. I think you said you did with most of them, but.
Well, what we're doing is an aggregator integration. So we're integrating directly with Chowly, It's a Checkmate, and I think the other one's Ordermark. So it's 3 of them we integrate with today, and they in turn integrate directly with Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Dine-In, all those other ones. So if they go that way with a full integration, when the order is placed on the third-party website, it literally goes through their HungerRush website into just like it came from HungerRush, and it'll appear on their kitchen printers or their KDS. Then the third party will come and pick it up. So that integration, it takes some work up front. I mean, it's not as simple as throwing a switch, but what that work is the menu mapping. Once the menu mapping's done, they just duplicate that. So if there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of them they want to work with, some people focus on one, and that's, more and more people I think are trying to trim down. Some has got as high as 5 and 6. I've gone into customers, they have all these iPads and stuff underneath their counter, and it becomes crazy. The phone's ringing because they haven't taken it off the tablet and all that. But I think more and more are starting to, slim that down. But in either case, the aggregators can integrate with those, and it will, once the menu mapping's done, the orders will flow through, and we accept any pricing. So if there's any uplift in pricing, we can handle the change in that.
All right. Well, that's a good answer. And again, you guys can reach out to HungerRush.com, and we'll give you a way to reach out to Mark or get any of these questions answered if we don't ask them. Mark and Carla, I do want to let you know I see your questions, so we're going to ask them real quick. So Mark O'Ray, he wants to know, has your company looked at robotics for your kitchens? And if so, who have you looked at?
Robotics, I
assume the pizza arms,
No, from what I've seen is this stuff's pretty expensive, and I think the romanticism of hand tossed pizza is still very important to me. I mean, who knows, in 30 years when my son's my age, maybe machines will be making everything and it'll be T2. But for right now, I think putting things on a wood paddle, sliding it to the oven, moving it around, garlic knots in. It's all part of the game, and that's how I plan on running a restaurant for the rest of my life.
No, I like that. Let's not egg the singularity on. It'll come eventually, but
yeah,
we're not looking for days of Skynet. I like your references, man. I get them all. This is great.
Me too.
So Carla wants to know, and there was another question that was here too. She wants to know, how do you keep your pizzas hot 5 miles away? She says that they had to reduce to 4 miles even using thermal pizza bags. Are you running into issues as far as like freshness? And I've got a follow-up question for that as well.
I think that's always an issue. I think, we have thermal bags and we keep them on top of the oven, and, they may sit up there longer than we want them to. Delivery, you're never going to get the same quality as you would if you were sitting inside the restaurant. And, we always tell customers that if you're not happy, give us a call and we'll make sure that, we fix it. But for the most part, it hasn't really been an issue. We're well staffed on drivers. There's been minimal traffic because of COVID. So going 5 miles away takes half the time as it would, prior. So,
but are you seeing a bigger influx of deliveries that are further away? Obviously a bigger influx of deliveries, so you have to manage that
right away. But we have the drivers to facilitate those deliveries. And again, when there's no traffic, usually traffic starts at 3 to 7 o'clock. When that's not there, it really opened up that delivery range.
Yeah, I think Alex even mentioned earlier that they use that drive module to help that as well, so they know when the drivers are going to be back, or when they're, the estimate of when they're going to be back is, so that can help facilitate what y'all are talking about.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, routing. That was the hardest part of like expediting, was the routing for me. I just can't. Maps and me, we don't get along. And then you ask a driver, and you never know if you're getting a straight answer, if they're just trying to take as many runs as they can get. So.
Oh yeah, they're like, oh no, that's right up the street. I can take that one too. And it's like, dude, that is 3 miles in the opposite direction. And they're like, I got it.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I had to find that 1 or 2 drivers who I knew would like tell me straight. So even then, I think half the time they were BSing me. But I guess the follow up to that is, do you offer like take and bake options at Purgatory, or even like reheat options? Since sometimes, they might be going further away, or people take it and don't eat it right away. Do you offer any of these things in your carry out or your deliveries?
We did a home pizza kit. A lot of people were doing those. We stopped doing it, but that was really popular. But no, we'll par bake a pizza for you. We'll par bake it. We'll do our best so that you can put it in your oven. But I mean, you still have to cook it probably in like within 4 hours.
Right. Yeah. Well, like you said, there's nothing that beats having it 100% inside. So there's another question for you, Ron. What's the accessibility for troubleshooting from HungerRush or Drive? You guys got people manning the phones 24 hours a day, or I mean, how easy is it for them to get their problem solved in real time? Because pizzeria operators, they keep crazy hours, man.
Right. Yeah. No. Absolutely. Yeah. While we have reduced our hours because of COVID. So while we have been 7 by 24, and I'm not sure when we'll get back to 7 by 24, we do man, I think it's all but, I think 4 hours of the day. So it's wee hours of the morning that we do roll over to a switchboard. But the rest of the time we are staffed with tier ones all the way. We have a tier level process for our support team, and we maintain that level throughout the day, all the way till when they shut the lights off of you, all the phones off at, it's either 2 or 3 in the morning. They come back on at like 6, I think it is. And by the way, we looked at our call volume on that, and on most days we were getting 1 or 2 calls during that time frame, or none. So then with COVID, that's what kind of drove that. So we do watch the call volume. We do look and see when our customers are calling, and we are staffed and prepared to handle those kinds of issues with any aspect of Hub, whether it's an add-on module like online ordering, Drive, curbside, whatever that might be, loyalty, whatever it is, we're ready to handle it.
Got it. Awesome. So, Carla, I did get the chance to kind of look over your question. Carla Alves, says that 90% of their business was dine-in pre-COVID, and she wants to know how to increase takeout and delivery without third parties who take all their profits, and the drivers in the area not reliable, don't get the right food to the right people, took too long, and I understand that pain, because that's not the third-party delivery company that's getting blamed for that. They're calling up your store. What are some tips, I guess, Alex, and then I'll pose this to you as well, Ron. What are some of the tips to get that? How do they increase takeout and delivery without third parties? Alex, go ahead.
Yikes, that's tough. Social media is huge for us, and we were lucky enough to build the amount of followers that we have. You know what I mean? Like, that's the outlet that we use because of the reach that we have. But simple flyering still goes a long way. I think neighborhoods want to support their neighborhood. I mean, you are essentially people's neighbor, and people throughout this whole thing have been pretty awesome, pretty rad, and you're there for them, they're there for you. So I would just recommend doing like a 20%, because commissions are usually around 20%. Give them a coupon for 20% off their first order or their next 3 orders, and flyer your neighborhood, and then hire drivers that you trust and train like you were delivering the pizza.
Or I like that you're saying that, well, the discount is it's upwards of 20-30%, not discount but the commission. So if you offer it a couple of times, you're already saving for the lifetime of that customer. You're not paying that commission over and over again. So that's a good answer. Ron, I mean, what would you suggest on the tech side of it? It's a good way to kind of up those sales without having to jump into third parties, or is it even possible?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the third party what he's talking about, of course, is marketing and the advertising, and that is the name of the game. If people don't know you have an online ordering website, they're not going to know to go look. And I mean, whether you put a flyer in your window, hand the flyers out in your neighborhood, put it on social media, stream it out. We do have the ability inside of HungerRush to set up the first time you order online, you get a certain discount, and it's a one-time deal to incentivize them using the system. And that's the whole thing. Once they go there and use the system even one time, they know it exists. And then you got word of mouth, and then you've got, put it in your store, put it on the window. Hey, we do delivery and carry out. We have an online digital website. People need to know you have that. And if you already have your own website, advertise it there. And then what people do, and what we do for our customers, is we put links through, or help facilitate them putting a link through, so the customers don't even realize a lot of times that they've left the main website and moved over to HungerRush for the order to be placed, because it's just a straight cut through. We also have cut throughs for Facebook. Same kind of thing. They don't ever actually leave Facebook. We can build it straight through, and they can place the orders like that. The key thing is you got to let your customers know. They must know that that's what you're doing, and you have that ability, and you got to advertise it. And once they start coming, man, I mean, it ramps up exponentially. I mean, we see it every time.
Well, and in social media right now, currently, I mean, it's a pretty good free form of advertisement and promotion and marketing. You can up the tiers to like paid levels as well, but I mean, I would say just put it out there as best as possible. Put your face in front of put your logo in front of as many faces as possible. So I guess that there's another question that was over here. Mahoney wants to know, purgatory stimulus package. When you had those, did you get rid of those discounts? Did you bring them back up? And did you get pushback from your customers from it? And if so, how did you handle it? When you do that first time limited offer, sometimes people just think that's how it's always going to be. Did you bring them back up? And if so, how did you manage it?
So what was happening is towards the end, people were like actually kind of getting upset that they couldn't modify. There was some issues with the menu that, like, we were trying to do this nice thing, and it was actually ending up being a bit of a bad thing towards the end. So I don't think people were bummed about it. I think things were changing. Things were getting a little bit back to normal. And instead of that curated menu, we started just offering certain discount codes and doing 2 topping deals and stuff like that. Just the menu went away.
Okay. Just kind of slowly phased out, and maybe people didn't notice. How do you handle negative online reviews? Do you ignore them? Do you fight back? Do you brush it off with humor? Do you give deep discounts, or do you just try to win them back once? It's like, hey, look, we messed up. We're going to redo it one more time. To give us one more chance. I mean, how do you guys usually manage that? Because it seems you got to have a big social media online presence.
I think that if it's like a certain experience and they explain it very well, or there's an issue with customer service, we'll get back to them. But if you get online and you say there was no parking in the parking lot, I can't believe how much the pizza was, I'm not going to even get back to that. We're going to say, hey, thanks for trying us out later. If you're going to meet us with that kind of energy, we're going to reciprocate it in more of a sarcastic way. People always say the customer is right, and that's true most of the time. But negative reviews, for the most part, are unwarranted, and the ones that aren't, we get back to them, we make it right, we do everything that we can. But those really snarky ones that it almost feels like they're just trying to get something for free, or they'll eat in the parking lot and then write a 1-star Yelp review. Give us a chance. Come in, give us a call.
Yeah.
Let me know about your experience before you blow us up online. You know what I mean? Like, let me make it right. Let me make it right to your face. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation, because we will make it right. And we screw up all the time. We're human. But to get online and blast us or any business, I don't get down with that.
Well, we've all got one of these now, so
that's true.
It's immediate reviews versus where you had to wait a week maybe for the newspaper to come out. Yeah, I have found that more people they're more prone to leave negative reviews than they are to leave something positive, unfortunately. Yeah. So, I mean, that's good. I mean, everybody has to have their own way of dealing with it, and having the rock star culture and theme of your restaurant, maybe that being snarky might work for you, but obviously it sounds like you want to make it right, obviously, but you have to weed through the BS and the legit things.
We have great customer service. I believe in all of my counter people. I trust everyone here, and if I'm always going to trust them before the customer. That's what it is. I'm never going to question my employees unless I have reason to, but I love all of them, and I think they all do a great job. The snarkiness, you'd never be met with snarky comments unless it was like 2015 here. But we have great customer service.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to put it that way, but I mean, you reciprocate what you think is, if it's going to be taken well. That's not what I meant. Yeah. And I totally, anytime we would get bad reviews too, I would ask my employees, I'm like, did you take this order or did you make this pizza? You go to them first. But yeah, I mean, you got to reciprocate within reason what you think can be taken. If they're going to see the humor in it, that's great. If not, you got to use kid gloves sometimes. Now, here's a good question here. There's actually one for two of you here. First question is, what is the percentage of vegan customers and sales that you have at Purgatory? And the follow-up is there a way that you can track particular segment sales through HungerRush, such as, you can find out easily how many percentage of vegan pies? So, I mean, just at the Purgatory Pizza, what's your percentage, you think?
Yeah, it's about 35% just for pizzas alone. But like appetizers, it would probably go up. But yeah, it's real easy. You just open up daily report, go from the first of the month to the 31st. You run the report, and I can see, or menu by item, whatever it is. But there's a report, and I can just see vegan specialties, and I have all the information I need right there. Very easy.
Yeah, it's just a menu mix report, and I can't say it any better than Alex just said it. Absolutely, you can.
Is there a way, if somebody wants to get a more nailed down report that they can call up HungerRush and say, look, this is exactly the metrics I'm looking for? Is that something?
So the answer to that question is yes, and here's how we manage that. Depending upon how granular you want your reporting to be, that's deterministic by how granular you set it up. So, for example, you can, on your report categories, that's how we do it. So instead of pizza, you can do vegan pizza, or, on appetizers, you can do vegan appetizers. And there's a lot of different flexibility you can do there. So instead of running a menu mix report and say, okay, here's all my pizzas, and then just like Alex said, you'll still see your vegan pizzas in there. You can break it to where you want to say, hey, I want to see just this subcategory called vegan pizza or whatever. And that's all based on how you set up your reporting categories, and you absolutely can do it.
Awesome. Well, that's great. I mean, it's just it doesn't necessarily just only apply to vegan. Anything you're doing, like you said.
Exactly. That's the example we were using here.
We ran a contest, and I put this one alcoholic beverage in its own group as its own thing, just so that it wasn't in alcohol. So it was easy for me to pull up this one thing, because we were doing who could sell the most White Claws like this summer. So it was super easy just to pull up, and it's very easy to use. You just got to make sure your groups are correct.
That's it.
Okay, well, that's it. That's awesome. And this is all like real time accessible. If I'm a manager, I'm sitting on a beach in the Bahamas wanting to look at my store, I pull up my phone, I can access all these reports through the cloud, the interwebs.
Yeah, so that's what we have in our hub system today, and you can pull up reporting in the hub system today. When we get to the version 2.0 that I had mentioned to you before, you'll not only be able to pull up reporting in the hub system, you'll be able to configure your menu and configure your system from the hub system. And that's where we have the cloud-based control. We really moved to a a cloud-based environment. But even today, right now, you can pull reporting up absolutely.
Can I ask a question
I like
about the HungerRush 2.0?
Yes.
Will that be the same? Will you guys be using iPads, or will it be the same interface that the computer that we're using?
Yeah, so our intention is that you theoretically could use different kinds of hardware, but we don't want to make that, we don't want to drive that on our customers. So we'll be doing just like we do now. We'll have a hardware solution for you. We'll load that app because it will be an app on that hardware, but you will also have the ability to load onto, and we're going to use a Windows-based tablet. We've gone back and forth on a couple different kinds of tablets, but we are now releasing a new one. It's in the early version 1. So it's just an order taker, but it will be a complete station once we're done. And once we get the full version 2.0 pushed out by next year, it's a Windows-based tablet. And we're even going to have a stand, or you could use it like a full-blown station once we have all that software loaded on it. But right now, today, you can take payment on it and you can take orders on it. So our customers use them as line busters and things like that right now. We just started shipping those out, I want to say within the last month. So I think I answered your question. So you could theoretically use an iPad, but we're going to have a hardware solution for you so people can pick from it, because we just want to make sure all the drivers are right and all that.
Will you be phasing out all those clunky computers then?
We are moving to a new hardware solution for that. So yes, and that's why we also want that the Windows-based tablet with the it has multiple bases. It has a docking station just for charging. It has a multiple docking station for charging multiple of them, or you can put it on a full blown. It's a little stand, and it'll hold the tablet. And while it's in the stand, you can make it network attached via the Cat5. And as soon as you take it off the stand, it takes it about 2 seconds to find the Wi-Fi, and now your Wi-Fi attached. So it's really going to be pretty slick, and it's going to give you all those kinds of options. And it is more into the 21st century look and feel of hardware.
I love the clunky computer. I'm a nostalgic guy.
And I'm an old computer guy too, and I'm gonna tell you those things are pretty tough. I've knocked those off, and we've had customers knock them off accidentally at conferences and stuff. We just pick them up and set them back on the thing. There's nothing wrong. It takes somebody really to use it to bust them up.
Nothing beats that. You're getting real-time questions from a real-time customer answered in real time. There's a whole lot of real going on right now, guys.
A lot of real.
I do have a bunch of questions that I wrote down myself, but they do tend to, I've got vegan on the mind this month just because of where I'm working. So we can answer all those questions in a different show. We'll let you know where you can see Alex Kuntz on PMQ Live Updates. I'll share it with him, and he can share it with his fans. I did want to ask, what kind of music did you play? What band were you in? Just because, again, I'm nerding out here real quick, and I do have another question. But
I was in a band called Lexicon Dawn and a band called Frogtown.
What kind of music was that?
Lexicon Dawn was it was like indie pop music right around 2010. I think we only put out one album and a couple singles, but it's on iTunes. It was a lot of fun. Great. It was a great time in my life. But yes, it definitely took a turn.
But it also led you to where you are now, and look where you're at.
I couldn't be happier.
Webinar series.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier. This is exactly where I want to be.
I did want to ask you this slide 11. I think it was somebody was asking, what are the purgatory pop-ups? And I had to go back and look through the deck, but I think it's on slide 11. I'm not sure, Emily, if you could show that. We were talking about your social media presence and promotions.
Yeah, we actually had we had an art pop-up, and they needed a place to do the show, so they popped up, and that was like right before everything shut down before COVID. But we try to facilitate a safe space for any kind of creative stuff, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, the follow-up question that I have is that should people be more proactive about reaching out there and seeing where they can help facilitate these venues? Or, since pizzerias are more pandemic proof, I hate using that term, but because they're already set up for takeout and delivery for the most part, they've been surviving and thriving longer than a lot of other restaurants. Do you want to be proactive in helping out other people. I know a pizza team member. She allowed her neighbor just a few doors down to sell their ice cream there in her shop because they had to close down. They couldn't stay open, but she put up a little case there. How important is community activity right there, even with maybe even competitors and things like that?
I mean, it's huge. We haven't done anything like that, but I mean, we haven't stopped donating. We work with our community every year, year over year, whether it's, to the after school programs that aren't going on that still need funding, or we do stuff with SNAP, which is like spayed and neutered dogs in Los Angeles. And I mean, we haven't stopped doing any of that. We try to donate to grocery stores and all that, and and the COVID units. None of that stopped this year. But just trying to be, like I said, be a good neighbor, because without them, there's no us.
I was going to ask you like a final word, but that sounds like it's pretty much there. Be a good neighbor, because without them, there's no us. Ron, is there a final positive affirmation you want to give to the industry right now before we sign off?
Alex echoed it throughout everything he said. Everyone's got to be ready to think on their feet. If you're not doing a lot of online ordering, you need to get on social media and advertise what you're doing. And if everyone's willing to be moving and flexible, there's a lot of successful restaurants out there right now that through this whole COVID mess. So best of luck to everybody. Stay flexible.
All right, guys. Well, I want to thank everybody who stuck around and asked all those great questions. Thank you so much for your attention and your time today. I'm Brian Hernandez. I was joined by Alex Coons of Purgatory Pizza in LA and Ron Smallwood of HungerRush. I believe you're in Houston, right, Ron?
That is correct.
If you want his home address, I'll put it in the comments. I'm kidding. I will not. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys next time on the PMQ webinar series with HungerRush. So again, everybody stay safe and stay sane out there.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Alex.